Okay, today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's pretty unthinkable for any parent, a stroke in a child. I know, it's a terrifying thought, mainly because it feels like it just comes out of nowhere. But, and this is so important, understanding what's going on is the absolute best way to be prepared. So let's dive right in. So I bet the first question popping into your head is this one, right? Can a child really have a stroke? I mean, we always think of strokes as something that happens to older people. Is this actually a thing?
And the answer is a definite yes. But here's the really critical part. Because it's so rare, it's often missed or misdiagnosed. And you can imagine that delay in getting the right care, well, that can change everything.
All right, so let's get into it. We're going to build a solid foundation of knowledge here. The goal is to break down what a pediatric stroke actually is and move from that feeling of, uncertainty to real clarity.
So what are we actually talking about here? At its most basic level, a pediatric stroke is a brain injury. It happens when the blood flow to a part of a child's brain gets cut off. You could almost think of it like a plumbing crisis in the brain. You've either got a clog stopping the flow or a pipe bursts and starts leaking. Either way, it damages those incredibly important brain cells.
And it generally breaks down into two main types. First, you've got what's called an ischemic stroke. This is the blockage one. Think of a blood clot getting stuck and basically creating a dam in a blood vessel. Then there's the hemorrhagic stroke. This is the bleed one. A blood vessel actually breaks and starts bleeding into or around the brain. Both are incredibly serious, of course, but the way you treat them is completely different.
Now, it's also important to know that a stroke in a child often doesn't just happen out of the blue. Sometimes it's linked to other, more complex issues with their blood vessels. Things like rare diseases that make vessels weak or narrow, or conditions like sickle cell disease, which can make blood clot more easily. And that really highlights just how crucial it is to have specialists, pediatric specialists, who can connect all the dots.
Okay, let's get to what is, without a doubt, the most important part of this entire conversation. This is the stuff everyone needs to remember. We're talking about recognizing the signs, because when you see these, it's a full-blown medical emergency.
So what are you looking for? The magic word here is sudden. Everything happens suddenly. Sudden weakness or even paralysis, especially just on one side of the body. A seizure, seemingly out of nowhere. Their speech suddenly gets all slurred, or they might lose the ability to speak altogether. Or a sudden, really bad headache, maybe with vomiting. These are massive red flags. And let me be super clear about this. There is no let's wait and see approach here. No way. If you see any of these sudden signs, it means you need to get immediate neurological evaluation. We're talking 911. Every single second matters when the brain is being starved of blood.
Okay, so your child is at the hospital with these symptoms. It's obviously a terrifying and super confusing time for any parent. So let's pull back the curtain a bit and walk through how the experts actually figure out what's going on.
The good news is there's a very clear step-by-step process. It all starts with getting a really detailed history of what happened. Then comes the imaging, things like an MRI or a CT scan, to literally see inside the brain. They'll do blood work, looking for genetic factors or clotting problems. They'll even check out the heart and the major blood vessels. And you might wonder, why the heart? Well, sometimes clots can actually form in the heart and then travel up to the brain. All of this detective work comes together to create a solid plan for rehabilitation and monitoring. And that plan leads us to the next phase, recovery. And this is so important. No child, no family goes through this alone. It really truly takes a whole team of dedicated experts all working together. I mean, just look at who might be on your child's team. You've got your pediatric neurologists, the brain experts. You'll likely have cardiology and hematology specialists looking at the heart and blood. And then you have this incredible group of therapists, physical therapists to help with movement and strength, occupational therapists for mastering daily life skills, and speech therapists to work on communication. It's a whole crew.
Yeah, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Every step forward after stroke is a team effort. It really gets to the heart of it. This journey is so much more than just medicine. It's about collaboration, support, and celebrating every single bit of progress. So, let's tie this all together. We've talked about the signs, how doctors diagnose it, and the amazing team that helps with recovery. But it all circles back to one single crucial idea: speed. Acting fast, that early intervention, is absolutely key. And acting fast means getting the right kind of care. This is a point I really want to drive home. Kids are not just little adults. The things that cause a stroke in a child, the symptoms they show, and especially how their brains can recover, it's all different. The treatments that work for an adult might not work for a child, or could even be dangerous. That's why getting to a place with specialized pediatric care isn't just a nice to have, it is non-negotiable.
So when we talk about long-term recovery, this is what we mean. It's this whole spectrum of support. You've got the big three therapies, physical, occupational, and speech, helping the brain heal and find new pathways. But it also includes things like learning support at school and, of course, ongoing monitoring to track progress and tackle any new challenges that pop up.
Look, I know this has been a lot of heavy information, but it is so important to end on this point. There is a lot of good news here. Yes, a stroke is a huge deal, but a child's brain has this incredible ability to heal and adapt, what scientists call plasticity. The capacity for recovery in kids is just remarkable. With fast action and the right team, the outlook for many children is really, really good. So, we'll leave you with this final thought. We started with the question, can this even happen? And now we know the answer. We know the signs, we know what the process looks like, and we know what recovery involves. The most important thing now is to take that knowledge and turn it into awareness. So, now that you know, could you spot the signs?